The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on me.
Hey there, all.
Channel switched.
Hello everyone, welcome to All You Can Eat. It is the podcast about deliciousness. I am your host, Rob Rosenthal, coming to you live. I am live here on the 7th day of April in the year 2021. Welcome to the show. Yes. Well, here's the situation. I generally discuss what's delicious, whether it's what we're making, what we're eating, what we're looking at, what we're expecting, what we're cooking, all that kind of stuff. As some of you know, I come from a background of food. I'm a food guy. I am a professionally trained cook. I'm a cookbook author, and I have traveled worldwide to eat my way around the world so that I can bring you, the stuff that I think you would want to know. On tonight's show, episode number 106, by the way, of All You Can Eat, I wasn't really sure. I'm feeling a little bit split personality. There's a part of me that is thinking about, as we enter into the summer months, maybe, cleaning it up a little bit, eating like the healthy stuff. And then there's another part of me that's like, hey, heck with that. I want to eat something delicious. Can the two meet? And the answer is, of course, it is that they can. But the point is, on tonight's show, I'm going to tell you about some super healthy food. So for anybody that's interested in knowing, what should I really be eating if I want to be eating, really good, healthy, nutritious food, I'm going to start with that. Then I'm going to work my way into a couple of other areas, including recommendations and including some recipes, and get into some hardcore deliciousness. I start though this evening by letting you know that I am coming to you live, as I told you, from New York City, New York, podcasting actually out of Boston, Massachusetts, on a live radio platform that is available to anybody in the world with an internet connection. This is very exciting for me because I myself have taken to the platform and I've heard live music coming from anywhere from Alaska to Algeria to Zanzibar. A to Z, baby. I have heard live radio on the internet from everywhere, including, by the way, a station that I listen to from Ibiza in Spain. It's called Ibiza Sonica. I like it because basically it's just 24 hours of kind of beats, and you can work out to it. So if you happen to be on your internet radio this evening, as many people are, and you're anywhere in the world, welcome to New York City, New York. Your host, Rob Rosenthal. Beautiful day here, April the 7th. It was 68 degrees and sunny today. Beautiful day to be outside. That's a pretty good time right now in New York City, where it's starting to come back. You're starting to see some action and some activity and some people on the street as more and more people are vaccinated and more people are feeling safe about going out. And restaurants and bars and theaters are beginning to open to some degree, because basically a lot more people are getting, kind of vaccinated, and it's feeling a little bit, here anyway, not every part of this country, but here it's feeling a little bit more safe. In fact, yesterday I went down to one of the large convention centers here in New York City, the Jacob Javits Convention Center down on 34th Street and the West Side Highway, 11th Avenue, where they were giving out over 9,000 vaccinations yesterday. And man, wow, what a super impressive operation it was down there. I mean, clean, spotlessly clean, super well organized, quiet, lovely people. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, in this situation is quiet enough that I was listening to classical music. And I thought that they were, piping it through the system. But wouldn't you know it, when we got into the kind of waiting area where you have to sit for some time after you get your vaccine, there they were, a 4-piece orchestra playing live classical music. New York City, my friends, it is still one of the great cities in the world. Not perfect. Things about it are annoying. Things about it are, imperfect. There are moments when not everything is great, but in general, still just a terrific place to be. Now, I mentioned to you that, with summer coming up in a couple of months, and man, time is just, I can't believe this year, we're already into April. One quarter of the year is done. Here we go. Thought it was time to kind of review some of the healthy food that we want to be concentrating on if we're those kind of people. One of the other things about America, my friends, we have a lot of overweight here, and I'm in that category. I got too much I'm carrying around here, so I'm thinking, what am I going to be doing so that I can at least go into the summer feeling a little bit lighter and a little bit cleaner, a little bit healthier? And I came across a study that was done by the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Now, if you've been paying attention to the news, you know that the CDC is in the news every day because they're the organization that provides guidance on, vaccinations and that kind of thing and all the COVID stuff. But they also are in the business of providing research and information with respect to, nutrition, diet information, not diet, but nutrition information, nutritional guidelines. And one of the things that you can learn from the CDC is that they've come up with national nutrition guidelines, which emphasize the consumption of what they call powerhouse fruits and vegetables. They even have a little initial acronym, I guess, PFV, powerhouse fruits and vegetables. These are the most strongly associated fruits and vegetables, most strongly associated with reduced chronic disease risk. And at some point a little while ago, they came up with a system for analyzing these fruits and vegetables in a way that they could rank them, essentially, tell you what the most nutritious are. And they did a very comprehensive study based on a whole lot of science to come up with a way of ranking fruits and vegetables on the basis of what they would call nutrient density, which is to say how many important nutrients are in food by size, by volume. And having done that, they start with understanding what they call the bioavailability of nutrients that are used, and that's how they determined where the density was. They said, well, iron is important, riboflavin, niacin, folate, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin K, etc., etc. They do an analysis of, I think it was it 40? It was let's see how many are on the list. They don't give you the number. It's probably like 40 or 45 or 50 different fruits and vegetables. Now, frankly, I wouldn't even know how to guess. No, you could probably guess what the number one is, but you'd be wrong. That's the thing I want to tell you. I'm going to tell you what some of these fruits and vegetables are based on the nutrient density, which is to say the availability of key nutrients in them per size, ranked on a scale of 0 to 100. On the very bottom of the scale, and again, still healthy, still one of the top 50 things that you could eat, is white grapefruit. So that's down on the scale. Sweet potato is down there. Blackberries, turnips, rutabaga, and I'm working my way up because we're going to get to what is the absolute most nutritious foods you can eat. It goes from lime to orange to winter squash. There's some pink and red grapefruit, so that's even more nutritious than the white. Working our way up, we see strawberries, iceberg lettuce, then there's lemon, tomato, carrot, cabbage, cauliflower, kohlrabi, scallion. Now we're getting into Brussels sprouts, pumpkin, broccoli. We kind of knew that was going to be good, and we're still not even at the halfway point. Then you get into red pepper, dandelion greens, and kale. I know people are tired of kale, but it's, that's one of the healthy ones. About 49 on the scale, which is good, by the way. All of these are good. This is just a ranking. Chives, endive, mustard green, turnip green, collard green. Actually, I got to say, I like a collard green. I like getting those collard greens, stripping them off that big fat stalk of theirs, sauteing them up in maybe some olive oil with a hit of, I guess a hit of bacon kind of defeats the purpose, but I like the sauteed collard greens. Romaine lettuce, parsley. Parsley is, per parsley, I guess, well, there's not a lot of parsley because it's a leaf, but parsley is super nutritious. Leaf lettuce, chicory, spinach, beet green. Now I'm getting into now we're to the 89s and 90s. This is it, baby. It's the last three. Okay. The three most nutritious power vegetables that you can eat. Now remember, I'm coming off of romaine, parsley, leaf lettuce, spinach, beet green. Here we go. Chard. Super duper healthy. Next up, number 2 on the list, your Chinese cabbage, your bok choys, incredibly nutritious. And then the number 1 on the list, and you haven't heard me say it, so if you guessed it, good for you. The number 1, ranked 100 on a list of powerhouse fruits and vegetables, ladies and gentlemen, watercress. Watercress. I wouldn't have guessed it. I don't particularly like it, but the answer is, if you want to eat the single most nutritious vegetable in the world per bite, get yourself watercress, make a watercress salad. The one time, I find, much as I love arugula, which has a natural kind of lovely bitterness to it, I never liked watercress for that reason, for the bitterness. But, that said, there is a time when a little bitter is good. And I'll tell you when that time is, when it's offsetting something that's super rich. So bear with me. You're having a beautiful sandwich. It's even whether it's roast pork or roast turkey. And then you have that kind of, whatever your dressing is going to be, whether it's an aioli or a Russian. Then you're going to want to offset that kind of richness with something from the other side, something that gives it a little bit of bitterness. And that's where I find watercress can be super helpful on a super nice, rich sandwich of porchetta on a ciabatta. See, that's the problem here. I'm thinking healthy, but I'm fantasizing fat. People are always on diets, which is another way of saying that diets are one of the greatest failures in human history, because if diets were so good, number 1, we wouldn't always be on them, and number 2, we wouldn't have a country that is 30, 40, 50, 60% obese, depending on age. We're not doing good here. And, when I named the podcast All You Can Eat, it made me laugh, as you can hear, because I thought that kind of reflected our cultural approach to food. We like it, and we're particularly enthralled by buffets and that kind of thing. So diets are a failure in spite, and that's why there's a new one every week, every 2 months. Everybody's doing keto now, which is fine. Before that, we were doing something else. It was the 30, Whole 30. It turns out, again, for those who believe in science, that there is a particular way of eating that historically, long-term, thousands of years, could easily be called the healthiest diet. And it's basically the Mediterranean diet. It's the way that they eat in the Mediterranean. It's typical of the way that they eat in Greece, where you find, fish, you find a ton of vegetables, you find good olive oil. And you don't have to trust me on it, but you can do all the research in the world. If there's one diet that you had to choose because you wanted to eat beautiful food and healthy food forever, you're going to go with the Mediterranean diet. And so the Harvard Department of Nutrition also came up with some paper here, which I am going to share with you on the simple steps to a Mediterranean eating plan. Now, you might have heard this before, but nonetheless, as long as we're on the subject of healthy eating, here are the 7 or 8 suggestions provided to you by the Harvard-affiliated Department of Nutrition. Start from whatever fats you switch from whatever fats you use now to extra virgin olive oil. Start by using olive oil when cooking, including in salad dressings. Try swapping olive oil for butter on crusty bread. And I'm going to throw in here too that they didn't say, but your alternative here is avocado oil. I'm under the impression that also is super healthy because avocados are. And I would also say to you, as a cook person, avocado oil has another advantage, which is that it allows you to cook at a much higher heat. It has a higher burn point, as they would say. So anyway, switch from whatever fat you're using to olive oil, extra virgin olive oil. Use it in everything, including as a substitute for butter on your bread. And also consider, this is me, but the avocado oil. Number 2, have a salad every day. What, you don't like salad? Come on. You can have a great salad. And the way to make a salad great is to make it exciting. And the way to make it exciting is to put different ingredients in it that have different tastes, have different colors, have different textures. By which I mean that you pick a lettuce or two that you like, then you're going to get some carrots in there for crunch. Maybe you're in the mood for some chickpeas. Those are good. Maybe you like green peas. Maybe you want to have some asparagus in there. What's the matter with a couple of mushrooms? Cucumbers are good. Scallions are good. I like red onion. I also like to put crunch in. I like to put a handful of toasted, almonds, slivered almonds in a salad. Yummy, delicious. Olives. There's 1,000 ways to make it tasty and delicious and crunchy without having to add bacon to it. And you need a nice vinaigrette, right? Which, although you could buy in a bottle, one of the things I always tell people is if there's 2 things that you should make all the time and never buy, they are vinaigrette and your own tomato sauce. Vinaigrette is so super easy because all you're going to use is some form of acidity, which is generally vinegar. Your alternative is to use fresh squeezed lemon juice. And however much you use, you put in 2 to 3 times as much of your olive oil, and you put in salt and pepper. And if you have the patience, you crush in a little bit of garlic or a little bit of shallot or a little bit of red onion minced, a teaspoon, that's all. And the salt and pepper I think I mentioned. And if you want to make it really super delicious and kind of help emulsify it, blend it all together, a teaspoon of Dijon mustard goes in there, and you'll have the best vinaigrette that you've ever had, right? So you make your own vinaigrette, and you put it on your own salad, and what these people are telling you is have it every day. Choose crisp, dark greens and whatever vegetables are in season, and I just told you if you can, all the greens that you can put into that salad, which are incredibly nutritious, including your watercress and your chard and all your different lettuces. I like arugula, as I said. Number 3, go nuts. Instead of a bag of chip or cookies, much as we like those, have a handful of raw nuts as a healthy snack. Number 4, add more whole grains to your meals. Experiment with, you ready? Bulgur, barley, farro, brown rice, whole grain pasta. Select dense, chewy, country-style bread without added sugar or butter. Some of this stuff you may know, some of this stuff may be logical, but you follow these steps, slowly but surely, you're into a much better, healthier frame. Number 5, add a variety of vegetables to your menus. Add an extra serving of vegetables to both lunch and dinner, aiming for 3 to 4 servings a day. Try a new vegetable every week. Well, you got a list of 47 of those things right now. kohlrabi, I know I said that. I'm not positive that I ever have kohlrabi, but you know what? Radishes, I didn't mention them. They're good. Snow peas I had yesterday. I'm going to tell you about a recipe I made that was amazing. When I'm trying to be like super healthy and clean, one of the things I do is I have some protein. Maybe it's a piece of fish or chicken or shrimp or that kind of thing. And rather than having a starch, which is typical here, some potato or rice, I just have 2 vegetables instead. So maybe there's some broccoli or some broccolini, and then maybe there's some zucchini or some peas or maybe some leeks, this kind of thing. So anyway, the point is a variety of vegetables and more of them. Number 6, I believe, eat at least 3 servings of legumes. Legumes, lentils, chickpeas, pinto beans, black beans. I'm lazy. I'm taking them right out of the can. I use chickpeas all the time. If you've heard the show, you know I empty out a can of chickpeas. I drain them. I hit them up with a little bit of that olive oil, and then I season them with my absolute favorite seasoning at the moment and put them into the toaster oven for 7 minutes. And then they get a little crispy on the outside, and they stay a little chewy on the inside, and they're delicious. And as you can see right here, from the people who know, super nutritious. I got chickpeas and olive oil, and now I'm just going to get a little seasoning on them. I like cumin. I like oregano. I like Italian seasoning. I like pimentone. I like ancho. I like all of those, chipotle, anything you like. Your favorite seasoning goes on there. Make sure it includes salt or add some salt. Put them in the toaster oven or regular oven or in a saute pan. 7 minutes or so, and you got some deliciousness that you can either eat straight up or put into a salad or, however you like it, or in a stew or in a soup. Speaking of which, number 8, eat less meat. My doctor tells me this as well, too. Use lean poultry in moderate 3 to 4 ounce portions. Save red meat for occasional consumption, or use meat as a condiment accompanied by lots of vegetables, as in stews, stir-fries, and soups. Eat more fish, aiming for 2 servings a week. Both canned and fresh fish are fine. I've been making a lot of tuna fish. I talk about it a lot. I grew up with it. I didn't like it growing up. I like the heck out of it now. I confess that I do use mayonnaise. I'm sure that if you used avocado instead, or just used lemon and vinegar, I like putting in a little bit of that green pickle relish. I make tuna salad every week. Number 9, cut out the sugary beverages. You don't need me to tell you that, but part of the reason of the obesity in this country is because of sugar, a lot of which comes from juices, a lot of which comes from soda, and a lot of which is hidden in pretty much every product that you buy from the middle of the supermarket. If you go around the perimeter of the supermarket, you're going to see the fish, you're going to see the meat, you're going to see the vegetables. Once you get into the middle of the supermarket, where everything is in cans and bottles and boxes, rest assured, 75% of it has some sugar in it. From your ketchup to your tomato sauce, they're throwing sugar or corn syrup or some variation of it in there, and it's not great for you, period. And then finally, eat fewer high-fat, high-sugar desserts. Fresh fruit or poached fruit is best. Aim for 3 servings of fresh fruit a day. Save cakes and pastries for special occasions. Again, I hate to present the obvious, but if you follow those 10 things, it would make a fundamental difference in your life. When it comes to fruit, I don't know. I find it easy. I love a breakfast of berries. Having read that list of 47, I can see only blackberries really are on the scale of one of the high power foods. But I do. I like the blueberries. I have the raspberries. I put them in a bowl, give them a bit of crunch from some nuts. Maybe you throw in a bit of almond butter, whatever it is that you like. I've been buying. I've been buying Sumo oranges. Let me tell you something. They're the best oranges I've ever had. The only thing you have to do is you have to wrestle with the price, if you know what I'm saying. Holy crap, I've never seen more expensive oranges in my life, but they're good. They peel easy. They're loaded with juice. They're tasty, delicious, good. But whatever your fruit is, man. The thing that supermarkets these days are doing that they didn't do before is they're making everything easier for you. Like, you used to have to actually cut and chop your own fruits and vegetables. You don't have to do that anymore, right? So if you go to the supermarket, you can buy chopped up already, carrots. They're doing iceberg lettuce that's already been shredded. There's your onion. Over there's your celery. The veg are cut up. I mean, everything is basically made for you. So much as I like chopping and cutting, so I do that. I don't pay them to do that. I do it. I actually like it. If you wanted to, it's become super easy to buy things that are already prepared for you. You just have to open the lid and pour it into a bowl if you're making a salad, or pour it into a bowl if you want to make, you like mango, you don't have to cut it. They've done that for you. Pineapple, same thing. Supermarkets have made the job super easy of picking up healthy stuff that you can easily convert into your next delicious and nutritious meal. I move into the subject of cauliflower because if you're paying attention, cauliflower is the new, black. I mean, cauliflower is everywhere all the time in everything. Cauliflower crusted pizza. I'm getting cauliflower gnocchi over at Trader Joe's. Cauliflower rice everywhere you look. Cauliflower steak. Cauliflower tater tots. Cauliflower chips. Cauliflower mac and cheese. You can have it buffaloed. You can put it in soup. It's mashed. It's roasted. It's grilled. Freaking cauliflower is everywhere you go. And I, in the beginning, felt surprised by this because I grew up with the recognition that cauliflower is tasteless. I mean, cauliflower is basically the culinary equivalent of cardboard. Like, if you don't do something to cauliflower, why would you be eating it? That's not delicious. And yet, it is exactly that neutrality, like Switzerland, that makes cauliflower the ideal platform or canvas, if you will, to incorporate other tastes and flavors. Now, I have had the cauliflower crusted pizza. They sell it over at the, and you can get a lot of places, but I got mine at Costco, and that's because I am the Costco ho. In that, I shop at Costco every chance I get. Love the place. They should pay me. They don't. They never will. But I am their biggest fan. The cauliflower pizza they sell there, frozen, is wow. It's good, and I'm telling you that pizza is my favorite food in the world. And the cauliflower crusted pizza that they sell over there is good, like really good. Phone's ringing, but I'm not going to answer that right now because I'm here with you. The cauliflower gnocchi that they sell at Trader Joe's, very good. I pop mine into the air fryer because it kind of crispies it up on the outside and then serve it with my own tomato sauce or buy yourself a bottle of pesto. It doesn't take a lot. It's perfectly good. Cauliflower rice. Like, here's the thing. Sometimes it comes plain, so it's up to you to add the flavor to it. Anything that you like. You want to make it Korean, you can add your gochujang. You want to make it Asian, you got soy and ginger and garlic. You want to make it Latin, you add in your pimentone, your smoked paprika. You want to make it roasted. That's when cauliflower turned the corner. Like, all you have to do with cauliflower is is slice it, put it on a baking sheet with olive oil and salt, and throw it in a hot oven until it turns like super crispy brown. Like you look at it and you go, that looks pretty good. Well, it's better than pretty good. It's fantastic because as it caramelizes, it gets super tasty. Now, the rice people are pissed off. The rice industry is going, you can't call cauliflower rice because it's not rice. The milk industry, the dairy industry is pissed off because they're going, you can't call oat milk. It's not milk if it's not coming from a cow. Almond milk, no bull. Anyway, I'm not getting into that. I'm just telling you cauliflower is everywhere you look. And in spite of its past history of having zero taste, I'm going to throw a recipe at you. And the recipe is roasted cauliflower with feta, almonds, and olives. You take a head of cauliflower, you heat your oven, and in a large bowl, you cut up that cauliflower into its little florets, as they would say. And you season it with some olive oil, a couple of tablespoons, some salt, pepper, and some red pepper flakes because you want to give it a little bouillon. And you toss that stuff around, and you spread it onto a large sheet pan, and you roast it until it's crisp and golden, as I told you, which is going to take you 25, 30 minutes at basically, I don't know, let's call it a 425, 450 oven, right, like that. And you toss it halfway through so that both sides are getting nice and toasty. You toast yourself some almonds in a skillet or in a toaster oven, and you keep your eye on it because I burn half the nuts that I toast because they just they go from being, they're not toasted to, they're completely ruined. Don't burn them. 2 to 3 minutes. You toast yourself some almonds. How much? A couple of handfuls. And then when the cauliflower is roasted and your nuts are ready, you put it into a large bowl, the cauliflower, and then you take some nice feta cheese, half a cup, however much you feel like, whatever. And then you take some olives, your favorite olives, chop them up, some green olives go in there, and you take half of those almonds, and a teaspoon maybe of some parsley, and you combine all that stuff, and then you top it. You take it out of that bowl, you top it with the rest of your almonds, a little bit more parsley, a squeeze of lemon. You season it with some of that flaky salt, some of that thicker salt, and you got yourself some beautiful roasted cauliflower, which, while it's good on its own, is even a little bit better if you got some feta, some almonds, and some olives. Right? Now, you can also buffalo cauliflower. And all you need for that is Frank's hot sauce. And I've done this a couple of ways. I cut it into florets. I toss it with Frank's hot sauce, a whole bunch until I see red all over the place. You want to put in maybe a little shot of oil into that thing. And again, it goes into the oven, 425, 450, 20 to 30 minutes. You look at it and you go, that's good. You don't even have to add salt really on that one because there's plenty of salt in Frank's hot sauce, which you can buy. Buy the 2 giant bottles at Costco. But you can also make, and I'm looking at a recipe right now in the New York Times. You can also make buffalo cauliflower dip. You take cauliflower, right, which you've cut into small pieces. You just need a tablespoon or so of olive oil, salt, and pepper. And you're gonna, again, all you're gonna do is you're gonna put it in there, and you're gonna salt and pepper in there. You're gonna cover it in this time. And you're going to cook it, well, actually, what do they do here? Heat the oven and then cover with a lid and cook it on the stovetop first because you're going to steam it. All right, so here's the thing. They're saying here, you're going to steam it first so you soften it, which is fine. Uncover the skillet, stir the cauliflower until it's nice and caramelized in spot. Put in a little bit of butter. And then when you put in a little bit of butter, it's going to melt, and then you're going to stir in some of the Frankie's hot sauce. like I have a cup of this kind of stuff, and you're going to cook this for about 3 minutes, turn off the heat, and then you're going to add in 2 more ingredients that are going to turn this thing into a dip. You're going to add in a quarter of a cup of sour cream and a half a cup of cream cheese and some shredded cheddar cheese. So here the concept is stovetop cooking, adding in to the crisping kind of, or the steaming cauliflower, adding in your butter and your Frank's hot sauce, making it buffalo style, then adding in the 3 key ingredients to give it the kind of creamy dip thing, which is your cream cheese and your sour cream and your cheddar cheese. Oh, they have blue cheese in there too, a little touch of that. And then take it off the heat, sprinkle some more of that cheese on top with some chives or some scallions, and serve it all mashed up. The thing has to be kind of like, blended all together. Everything's like nicely combined, and you serve it with the same thing that you would serve buffalo chicken wings with, which is, some celery sticks, some carrot sticks, maybe some toasty bread, maybe some potato chips or a tortilla. The point of the story is cauliflower, not so bad. I come to you next here with 2 recommendations for deliciousness. One is a product, and one is a technique which I only recently came by. There's been a lot of stuff written about like super crispy oven roasted potatoes. And, if you just took the little potatoes, the little red ones, the little yellow ones, the little new potatoes, or you could cut your usual kind of Idaho potatoes into wedges, and you give them some olive oil and some salt, and you put them in the oven again, 425, 450, turn them a couple of times. They're lovely. They're oven roasted, but they're crisp and they're delicious. It turns out, however, that there is a method for making potatoes that become like super crispy and creamy on the inside. Now, the trick here is to use little potatoes, or to cut not little potatoes, at least into halves, right? So, best bet you can do here is you can grab yourself some, I like the little round ones that they sell in the bag. But you can do it with Yukon Gold that you cut into like quarters or eighths, depending on the size of the potato. And instead of going directly into the oven, you actually boil them first a little bit. And when I say a little bit, it's kind of until that moment that they get tender enough that you could jab them with a point of the knife, and the knife goes through easily. It yields nicely, right? So you go, okay, but here's the trick. And the trick is that you need a half a teaspoon of baking soda. And this was the surprise. Because when you boil the potatoes with a half a teaspoon of baking soda and maybe some salt, that's all that's going into the boiled potatoes, and you cook those things for your 8-10 minutes, and you poke a knife in and you go, yeah, that seems pretty good. You drain them, and then you let them sit for a minute until they're nice and dry. Then you put them on your baking sheet. And what's on your baking sheet at this point? Olive oil, if you're going healthy. Duck fat, if you're not. And you take a potato masher. Now, this is important, right? So you've done a couple of things here. You've done baking soda. You've cooked them a little bit on top in boiling water. You've let them dry. You put them on the baking sheet where you have your fat or your oil. You take that potato masher and you mash them down a little bit. Not into pulverize. You're not going to pulverize them. You're not turning them into cauliflower rice. You're not crushing them. What you're creating on them is extra surface area, right? You're creating extra texture so that all the tops of these things look like they've been punctured a little bit. The pegs by the little diamond holes in your mashed potato masher. Right? You can do it with a fork. You can do it with anything that will put a little pressure on them and break the top of them so that you create extra texture. Because somewhere between that texture that you create and the baking soda, when these things go back in the oven to get crisp, another 25 minutes, 30 minutes at your 425, 450, when they go back in there, man, holy wow, they get brown and they get super crisp. This is what you want in a potato. Super crisp on the outside, and then nice and creamy and soft on the inside. All right, so the trick here, my friends, is your baking soda, you're boiling, you're crushing, and then you're roasting, and it's a gloriously beautiful potato. Really great. Simple seasoning if you want is salt, pepper's fine. You got some rosemary around, not going to hurt anybody. Beautiful, beautiful food. Then my second recommendation for you today is it's called olive salad. Now, I don't know, it's got more than olives in it. It's got some other little things in there too, which are lovely. It's got a little, maybe some roasty pepper. It's got a little bit of, the capers in there. The company is called Solestado, Solestado, Muffaletta olive spread, 32-ounce jar. I buy mine at Costco, thankfully, because it probably cost me, I don't know, like let's even say that jar cost, well, whatever it costs is going to cost you 1/2 to 1/3 of what they're selling it for on Amazon, period. But why are you buying olive salad? I mean, are you going to sit down and eat olive salad? No, you're not. You're going to put the olive salad on your sandwich. Does it have to be a muffaletta sandwich? Muffaletta is the crazy great sandwich coming out of New Orleans on beautiful bread with different hams and cheeses and whatever. And then part of the thing that makes that salad amazing is the muffaletta, which is this kind of spread of a mix of olives and olive oil with capers and peppers. It's goddamn fantastic. And the thing about muffaletta is you don't always have to use it simply on a sandwich. I literally will take 2 tablespoons of the stuff and put it in that salad I was telling you about before. It really makes a difference because it brings like, whoa, what's in this thing? That is yummy. Solestado Muffaletta olive salad, you can find a whole lot of ways to use it. I mean, even if I'm making tuna fish, we talked about that before. And I wanted to really just, blow it out. Instead of using my hot dog hamburger relish, green relish that I use, I just want to give it a completely different taste profile. You mix it in with the olive salad. Even if you were making egg salad, this would be great to put a tablespoon of this stuff in there. Even if you were making pasta, right? And you go, man, I'm feeling lazy today. I would take pasta. I would maybe saute up some garlic and olive oil. I would take the pasta. I would mix it with the garlic and olive oil. I would put in 3 or 4 tablespoons of this olive salad right there. Holy, lovely. Put in some red pepper flakes. It's kind of like you're making your own puttanesca there. I like this stuff. I like this stuff a lot. Speaking of which, I like eggs. And I don't know, when I see sometimes deviled eggs on a menu, I'm intrigued, especially if they're interesting. What makes it interesting? Put some kind of flavoring into it, or they put something on top of it, a little bit of like a fried oyster, here is a deviled egg with a fried oyster. Hello, that sounds good to me. But deviled eggs are interesting, right? They take the yellow out, they mix it up with some stuff like some Dijon or curry powder. Actually, that's the point that I want to make here. One of the things that makes an interesting salad is curry powder. So lately, I have been making chicken salad. Now, when I make chicken salad, it's because I have leftover chicken, and I chop it up and I give it the hit of the mayo, and I actually at that point, if I have some pickle juice in the house in a jar, of pickles, I like a little liquid. I like a little pickle liquid in there in my chicken salad. And I use then a hit of curry powder. I like the curried chicken salad a lot. And if I want to make it like even crazy, I could take some of those toasted slivered almonds that I talked about, or maybe some golden raisins could go in there. Maybe somebody that goes, you know what, I like a little finely chopped, celery, or maybe there's some scallion, or maybe there's some red onion. But the thing that differentiates it is the curry part of it. That's what makes it kind of, some people put, little pieces of apple in there, whatever your pleasure is, but I mention this because I am a fan of a particular kind of curry, which is called Vadavan curry, Vadouvan, which you can, again, everything you can now find online. But what's interesting about Vadavan curry is that it's kind of a hybrid between French food and Indian food. It was where the French kind of, in their time in and around India, brought some of their own kind of, shallots and onions and garlic to the curry that was popular over in India. And so this hybrid is interesting because instead of it being kind of like a straight, Madras curry, or yellow type of curry or whatever, it's got the influence of the shallot and the garlic in it. Anyway, fantastic flavor in a chicken salad. And now I'm here to tell you that if you got yourself if you don't want to use, for example, the mayo, because that's feeling like I can get something that's less caloric. Recipe here that I'm looking at is for curried egg salad. And it's where you take some hard-boiled eggs, and instead of using the mayonnaise, you can use some yogurt and some extra virgin olive oil and some lemon juice and some lemon zest. And maybe you want to spice it up, so that's where sriracha comes in. And maybe you want to give it a little hit of acidity, so sherry vinegar is good. And then all you need is a half a teaspoon of curry powder and some salt. Right? So I'll repeat it so that you got it, because if you're in the mood for egg salad, it's hard-boiled eggs, it's a teaspoon of some, plain 2% yogurt. It's a little bit of, a quarter of a teaspoon of some olive oil. It's a couple of teaspoons of lemon juice. It's a little bit of lemon zest, which is always great to add flavor. It's a half a teaspoon of sriracha, which gives you some heat. It's a quarter of a teaspoon of sherry vinegar, or a little bit if you want a little bit of brightness or acidity in the thing. And then it's just a half a teaspoon of curry powder, or in my case, Van curry powder, and a pinch of salt. You got yourself some delicious curried egg salad, my friends. Last night, I only make what I have in the house. I don't make special, for the most part, shopping trips, but my refrigerator was full from a recent shop, and I happened to have opened up a recipe in the New York Times by Melissa Clark, who is brilliant and presents recipes at least every week. And I see that there's a recipe for one pan, which is already attractive, right? Because anything you can do in one pan means it's that much less to clean. And she's got a recipe for one pan pork chops with feta, snap peas, and mint. And what's amazing to me about this is I happen to have pork chops that I have to make because they were in the refrigerator for a couple of days. I happen to have snap peas, which came from the Trader Joe's shop. And I looked at and I happen to have had crumbled feta cheese because I had brought it to throw into my own salad days before. And so it turns out that with the exception of the mint, I even see on the recipe here they want scallions. I got scallions in the refrigerator. I have everything in-house to make this recipe with the exception of mint. But here's the thing: I even have lemon. I want to make it without the mint. Like I'm not going to tell you that I'm a guy that loves mint, but I tell you what I love. I love when a recipe, like this one wasn't. It would have been fine. But I don't want fine. This recipe was begging for the mint. So I have everything except for the mint. I went out and got the mint. So here's where you take a couple of bone-in pork chops, big old thick pork chops. You hit them up with some salt and pepper. You put some olive oil and a little bit of butter in your fry pan, and you hit these things up, these pork chops up, both sides. 3-4 minutes aside because they're thick, and when they're cooked and brown and beautiful, get them out of there. And in that same pan, and you may need to add a little bit of the oil, or maybe now's when the butter goes in. You put in your 4 scallions that you've chopped up, green and white part. You put in your 2 cups worth of snap peas, good. Put in a whole bunch of, when I say a whole bunch, I mean half a cup of chopped fresh mint. You give them a nice hit of red pepper flakes. You add in. Now you let that all cook, right? So right now you got in that pan. You've taken out the chops, which are now sitting on a plate, and the juice is coming out of them onto that plate because you kept them juicy. I think now is when you put in the butter. You don't have to use the butter for the first go around. That was just the olive oil, but the butter's going to go in when you put in the scallions and the snow peas and the mint, and you stir it around, and you see that it's cooked for a minute or so. It's starting to look real good. At which point you put back in your pork chops, and you put back in all that juice that collected from those pork chops, and You got your red pepper flakes are in there, and now you can take a half a cup of your crumbled feta cheese, and you drop it on top of that, and you squeeze some lemon on top of that, and you put a lid on that. And you put a lid on that until such time as those pork chops are ready. And what's ready? Honestly, it's kind of medium rare. Like you want a little bit of pink in there. Don't go beyond medium. And then when they come out, you just put those 2 pork chops back on a plate, and you put on the scallions and the snow peas and the feta on top of them. Then all you do is take a little bit of that extra mint you got right there, throw that on top, squeeze a little bit more lemon onto that thing, give it a little touch of salt if it needs, and you have 1 pan pork chops with feta, snap peas, and mint that people are going to be going, oh my God, yeah, it's that good. Because when that feta gets all mixed in there with that stuff, it becomes like a creamy sauce without having to use cream. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Ladies and gentlemen, I have enjoyed my time with you this evening. But all good things must come to an end as I contemplate a hot cup of tea to soothe my throat. And, I'm going to see if there's anything sweet around the house because I'm not ready to convert entirely to fruit. Rob Rosenthal here with you as I am each week. This is episode 106 of All You Can Eat. We talk about deliciousness and other things related. Oftentimes we have guests. If you've been tuned in last week, I spent the hour with Danny Meyer, esteemed restaurateur, industry leader, author, and entrepreneur, and generally great guy. You want to find any of the past podcasts, all you have to do is look for All You Can Eat on iHeartRadio or under the podcasts in Spotify. My thanks to the good folks over at the Armed Radio, Jimmy over there up in New Hampshire for producing the show. I'll be back with you next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I come at you live on Wednesday nights with All You Can Eat. And if you feel like seeing me more, you can find me on Instagram, where I am real Bob Rosenthal. If you're a Twitter person, I am available to you as Short Order Dad. Same on Facebook, Short Order Dad. Speaking of which, you want to buy a book based on the idea that I went to cooking school so that you don't have to, with 100 recipes that guarantee you the most taste with the fewest ingredients and the least effort. That book is called Short Order Dad. A lot of reviews, 130, 140, I don't know. There's a lot of reviews on there. Read what people said. There's always going to be somebody here and there that has something to complain about and criticize, but, I'll take the ratings I got. My friends, until next time, remember life is short, so never waste a meal.
I'm the Teflon Pan Man. I'm the Teflon Pan Man. Ain't nothing gonna stick on